You once said you'd never play a cop.
Yeah, well, that's always the naff part, isn't it? You always say, and then what did you do next? And where were you at 3:15? And then the other actors get to do all the, the good acting. Yeah. So we fleshed him out a little bit, old Michael Jericho.
In what sense?
Stuart Harcourt wrote these fantastic 4 films, which we've now completed. And I felt that he needed a bit of backstory, because I felt that everyone in the 50s was actually affected by the war in some way or other. So I went to Stuart and I said, look, Stuart, I really want a backstory with this man. I want to see something of his past, where he comes from. And I related a story which had affected my brother. My brother was involved in a shooting. This is way after the 50s, I hasten to add. He was confronted by a maniac, I guess, with a shotgun. And the man confronted him and aimed the gun at him, pulling both triggers back, and demanded where these 2 men were. He was obviously completely irrational. My brother tried to remove the gun from his face. Well, he says he can't really remember. He was so terrified. And the man marched into the factory and shot 2 poor innocent victims dead in front of my brother. And I told Stuart Harcourt this story, and he actually sat there completely shell-shocked. I mean, to get first-hand experience. So then Stuart brilliantly evolved this story of Michael Jericho's father being shot in front of him, using the effect of what I told him about what had happened to my brother. And
which gives him that background, that hinterland, and gives him another sort of side to him, because there is a man obsessed not by just solving the crime of the moment, but solving the crime of why his father was shot in front of him.
And we, of course, you and I mean, we grew up with Fabian of the Yard and Dixon up Dock Green. And,
Did we ever? Yeah. What's interesting about that 50s, I mean, was that we had these parents, and mine were the same, who were, I think it was a very remarkable generation. It came through a world war. A lot of men went to war. There was no counselling or anything like that. They came back and said, get on with it. A lot of being severely traumatized. More than that, the Education Act freed our generation. It said that bright kids from working class backgrounds, you're free, get on with it. And that's what, give them a little bit of education, away they go.
I know, speaking from my dad's point of view, from my mum and dad, they were both affected by the war, either by my dad coming out of the Navy with TB and having a kidney removed, which was an incredibly dangerous operation at that time, and also my mother having 2 near-fatal miscarriages. And I felt that those people of that period did an incredible job in bringing us up and giving us what I thought my childhood was blessed. We had dinky toys at Christmas, and we had the pillowcase with the orange and the peanuts in it, and the Beano annual, and it did snow on Christmas Eve, and there was a long summer, and the doors were open. And it was filled with such nostalgia, and I kept thinking, I'm about to do a cop series about the 50s, but there must have been something dark. But I think what our parents did kept it away from us. They really hid it because they felt, no, the war was just horrendous, and we are going to make our children enjoy their childhood.
Well, I mean, what did Mum and Dad, this Mum and Dad that you've talked about, what did they make of you going to Broadway? They came to Broadway with you, didn't they?
Well, I asked them to come out. First they went to LA, which they found very strange. There was a great incident in New York when the show transferred to New York, and it was a huge success. And then it was the mid-'80s when New York really was, Giuliani hadn't cleaned it up then. It was there were still dark areas of New York where you didn't go. But they found a purse. And then, at the north, you find a purse, you go to the police station. Of course. Well, they went to the 42nd precinct. And they walked into this precinct, and my dad said, and he said, what? You did what? You found a purse? So what are you doing here? Well, we're handing it in. And they go, hey, John, come over here. You see these geeks from England? They're bringing the purse back. And they couldn't believe it. They just couldn't believe it. And anyway, they found the lady who owned the purse, and it was, it's just a very English, very northern thing to do.
And what about yourself? I mean, when you went to Hollywood, I mean, you made a couple of movies there. It didn't work out spectacularly well for you in terms of your career, but you had a good time there, didn't you?
Well, I had a great time. I mean, I love the place, but I mean, I just didn't. We didn't see eye to eye. And I said a few things to the right people, or maybe I said the wrong things to the wrong people. I don't know, but I don't think I'll be asked there again in a hurry.
And also, too, I mean, I remember reading about the people that you met there too, the parties that you went to, and the idea too. And I've been in this situation as well, where they're all so clever and talented. They do party pieces, and you sit there and think, it's coming around to me. What am I going to do?
Yeah, they
you go for a blackout or something like that. Somebody to come in and raid the place. You know?
Yeah, I went to a dinner party with I remember Carl Reiner and his wife, and Mel Brooks and Anne Bancroft, Gene Wilder, Dom DeLuise, Gilda Radner with Gene. I remember, this is really dropping names now, and Steve Martin. And I remember sitting at this table, and I was over there then pitching the film.
Yes.
So they didn't quite know, and they knew I'd been on Broadway, and they knew I could sing and dance a bit. But they suddenly got up after this dinner and started doing the most amazing turns, and I said,
Oh, God.
and then, you see?
Nightmare.
And then they said, OK, Bob, what are you going to do? And I went, well, I'm an actor, I don't... They said, well, you sing and dance, come on, sing and dance, what do you do? I said, well, I have to rehearse, you know, and I can't... So, I did To Be or Not to Be.
Shakespeare?
Yeah, Shakespeare, yeah. I mean, that's all I knew. And it went...
Well, all of it?
No. I was actually stopped on the third line by Mel Brooks said, that ain't funny. So I went back, and I walked back to the Bel Air Hotel, the Beverly Hills Hotel. I actually walked, and I remember thinking, I've got to do something to entertain these people. These are my heroes. These are comic geniuses. I've got to do something for them. So all night, I'd sit.
Chaucer.
Ibsen. I've got to do some Ibsen, make it funny. So I'd sit there, and it's meant to be pitching this movie and getting ready and rehearsing it and everything out of my head. So I remember thinking, I'm going to do Singing in the Rain in 30 seconds. I've got to remember this, OK?
Yeah, go on.
You can time me.
Go on.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm fit as a fiddle and ready for love. I could jump over the moon up above, fit as a fiddle and ready for you. Oh my, stop that girl, that's Kathy Selden, the voice you heard and loved tonight. And I can't stand her. Good morning, we danced all night through. Good morning to you, and for me. I was meant for Moses, supposes his toes are all roses, but Moses supposes erroneously. Nature patterned you, and when she was done, you were all the sweet things. What make 'em laugh, make 'em laugh. Don't you know that the world wants to laugh? My dad said, be an actor, my son, but be a comical one that be standing in lines. Well, an old honky-tonk monkey shines. Ha 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 ha. Gotta dance. Broadway rhythm, it's got me every dance. Oh, that Broadway rhythm, driving, beating rhythm. Boom! It's the Broadway melody. I'm singing